questions and answers afterwards.
Thank you, Brenda. I want to thank you all for having me and allowing me this opportunity to speak with you all tonight. My name is, as Brenda said, Charlie Little. I'm from A Diamond and Gold Exchange. I'm the general manager. We're at 13 Northeast Eglin Parkway, at the intersection of Eglin and Hollywood. Glad to be here tonight with so many fellow patriotic Americans. It's just wonderful, and I'm certainly going to be back many a time. I'm just very impressed with your group, and I've talked to Brenda many a time and have some other folks from our shop and family members and friends here tonight, but I just appreciate what you all do. First and foremost, we're a family-owned business. We've been in operation since 2001. My uncle Herb Faison purchased the business from Mr. Jack West at that point in 2001 and renamed the business A Diamond and Gold Exchange. Since then, we've expanded. I was fortunate enough to come into the business in 2010, and since then, we've, as I said, expanded. We have several divisions, which I was going to touch on tonight briefly, and then expand on our main topic of conversation, gold and silver. First and foremost, we are a full-service jeweler. We do in-house jewelry repairs on a really neat machine called the laser welder, which is a lot faster than the old torch they used to use. We also have 2 gemologists on staff, which is a big advantage of our business as opposed to others. My uncle Herb, who is a gemologist, and the gentleman that runs our repair department, Mr. McDonald, he's also a gemologist as well. We wholesale diamonds, and so we can save our clients quite a bit on that, and colored stones as well. We actually have thousands of colored stones on hand. We can do insurance appraisals or appraisals for insurance purposes as well. We are a retailer for Citizen, Echo Drive, and Bullion and Caravel watches. We have 30% off, as a matter of fact, on all our Citizen and Bullion and Caravel inventory right now. And the Citizen watches are really neat. The Echo Drive, you never need a battery, as a matter of fact. So we do watch batteries as well, but you won't have to come see us for watch batteries when you have a Citizen Echo Drive. So that's one good thing. Another division that we have that we're expanding is our engraving division. We're engraving on trophies, plaques, and corporate awards. These are examples of a couple of our patriotic themed eagle and flag engravables, and we're going to have set up the laser engraver very soon, and we'd certainly love to give you a very good deal on any of our engraving offerings also. But the main focus of our business these last several years, and what I'll really expand on today, is gold, silver, and platinum. And we buy gold, silver, and platinum jewelry based on the purity of the metal and the spot price. We get our spot prices from kitco.com. It's not only is it a great website for the spot prices where they are currently, but it's an aggregator of information of why these so-called experts think these metals are going up and down and all around. But just to touch briefly on the purity of the gold, 24K gold is 999 or 100% pure, 22K 91.7% pure. When you see these in jewelry items, they're usually from Asia. I'm sure you all are pretty well aware of the really bright Thai bot gold or Asian gold. Now 18 karat gold is 18 out of 24 parts gold, or what we know is 18K is 75% pure. Sometimes you'll see 750 stamped on some jewelry items. That's 18K. 14K gold is 58.5% pure. 10K gold is the lowest acceptable purity in U.S. jewelry gold, and that's 10K. Now, when we're buying gold to melt, jewelry items in our shop, we are definitely in no pressure. We give you the information of where the metals are at this point in time. We tell you what we can pay and what the different carriages are at that time, and we recommend folks shop around. We're confident. We treat people the way we'd want to be treated, and I think that's the best way we do business, and that's we're confident that we'll make a fair and honest offer, and our motto is our customers say we pay more. So there have been many ups and downs in the gold market, as you can see, the last several years. This is a 5-year gold chart from kitco.com. And the high, 1900, about 2.5 years ago. The low of 5 years was about 870, about 5 years ago. Now this is for 1 ounce of 24K 999 gold. There are 20 pennyweights in a troy ounce. There are 31.1 grams in a troy ounce. If you go back to the 10-year chart, when you're looking at this chart, you can see that even with recent fluctuations in the market, what we've had in the last 2 years, gold just below 1,300 right now. I believe it closed at about 1,285. It's still almost or more than triple, as a matter of fact, where it was in April of '04 when it was under 375, right around 375 an ounce. We also buy quite a bit of silver to melt in jewelry and sterling flatware as well. You may have some sterling flatware that's been in your family for many years, and that can add up very quickly based upon the weight of it, as a matter of fact. And just to briefly touch on silver, 999 fine silver, you really don't see that much in jewelry items, mainly in coins and bullion, which we'll touch on very shortly. But that's 999 is fine silver. Sterling silver, you'll see on your jewelry item stamp 925. That's 92.5% silver, what we know as sterling silver. Coin silver, sometimes you see it in jewelry items, but generally that's in coins, 90% pure, 1964 and prior U.S. coins, which we're about to touch on here. Now, some of these great looking coins y'all will remember, and I'm sure some of you have in your collection or grew up with. These U.S. coins, 1964 and prior, the halves, quarters, and dimes, they're definitely in high demand with our clients, with collectors and investors. We buy, sell, and trade them every day in our shop. The Franklin half and the Mercury dime and the pre-64 and prior quarters, they're about 14.4 times face value is the bullion metal content right now in today's market. So that Mercury dime with the metal, where silver is right now, it has about $1.44 worth of metal in today's market. Now, these are examples of bullion coins. They're normal wear and tear, normal circulation, so they're not numismatic. So their value is based mainly on the metal content. This next slide is actually some coins that we've had in our shop recently, and we're going to talk about numismatic versus bullion coins. And a lot of you may know numismatic coins refers to the scarcity of the coin, the condition. These two coins, for example, the numismatic value supersedes the bullion value or the metal content value. The first coin is actually a coin we have currently in our shop, the coin to our left, I should say. That is it's actually a St. Gaudens $20 gold, 1908, no model. For a couple years they took off, In God We Trust, and at that point in time. That's a $20 gold piece. Now it has the actual gold weight, or AGW, is 0.9675, so it adds almost 97% of a troy ounce of gold in it. So in today's market, it would have about $1,250 worth of gold in it. However, because of the condition of the coin, it has been deemed by NGC, which is one of the two leading third-party grading agencies, and someone submitted it to be graded, and it's been deemed by NGC as a MS, or Mint State 64 coin, and very beautiful coin. So the numismatic value supersedes the bullion value. In the retail book, it would retail for about $2,700. We have it at a little discount from that. We give you a good deal on that, but that is a numismatic value of that coin. And the second coin is a Morgan silver dollar. The Morgan silver dollars were minted by the U.S. Mint, and that's legal tender, just as the St. Gaudens is legal tender, was $20. The Morgan dollars are legal tender $1, and they were minted from 1878 to 1921. And I'm sure many of you have these in your collections. Now, the bullion value of these Morgan dollars, they contain approximately 0.77 of a troy ounce of silver in each coin. So in today's market, they have about $15 worth of silver in them. But this is an example actually of a coin that we don't have on hand right now, but it's on our Facebook page. We did have it previously and it's been sold. But this coin, because of the condition, it's uncirculated and it's in a GSA, or Government Services Administration holder. It was released in the cache of those at some point in time, and it's in uncirculated condition. So the value would be in the several $100 range. So that's the difference between numismatic and bullion. Next, just wanted to briefly touch on some very popular silver bullion coins that we see every day and buy and sell and trade them virtually every day in our shop. Some popular silver bullion coins that we have and see quite a bit: the American Silver Eagle to the right and the Canadian Silver Maple Leaf. These are both beautiful coins, and they're also legal tender coins. The American Silver Eagle has been minted. President Reagan and his mint director, Donna Pope, they started the American Silver and Gold Eagle series, 1986. The Silver Eagle, $1 face value. However, it contains almost $20 worth of silver in today's market. And these are high demand coins, very sought after. We buy and sell them every day, and they're very attractive too. They took the Walking Liberty design that you remember from the Walking Liberty half that many of you remember when we buy and sell and trade those as well. Now, the Canadian Maple Leaf is also a legal tender coin in Canada. It's a beautiful coin with, of course, the depiction of the Queen on the obverse, and the reverse is the maple leaf. And the Canadians they slightly outdid us on this one because they have 4 nines guaranteed. These are guaranteed 99.99% pure. And they're also very much in demand, and also $5 face value in Canada, but somebody would not, it wouldn't behoove them to use it for that because there's actually about $20 worth of silver in today's market. The next slide, we have 999 fine art rounds from a private mint. These are known as art rounds in the industry, or silver rounds. They are not legal tender coins, but some investors and collectors really enjoy buying, selling, and trading these, and we buy them and sell them quite a bit. They are from a private mint. These have a beautiful, really attractive design, the buffalo design. Now, they're 1 troy ounce of 999 fine silver, and the attraction to these to a lot of collectors and investors is they can sometimes be had at a slightly less of a premium than the American Silver Eagles and the Canadian Maple Leafs, but they contain the same amount of silver, 1 troy ounce of 999 fine silver. Another option for folks, and we buy and sell and trade these as well, are silver bars. We see them in 1, 5, 10, and even occasionally a 100-ounce silver bar comes into our shop, and that's a big chunk of silver. These are Engelhard and Johnson & Matthey, or some recognized refiners that we see quite a bit. And now, once again, the attraction to these bars as opposed to the Silver Eagles or the Canadian Maple Leafs is often that they can be had percentage-wise at a slight less of a premium than the Silver Eagles or the Maple Leafs. But we do see those quite a bit, and we have access to them, and they do come and go. Another example of items that we handle in our shop are foreign and U.S. paper currency. The first on top is an example of a $1 bill. It's a silver certificate that is in what we call CU, or crisp uncirculated condition. Now, the condition raises the value of this one, collectability. And so we do see a lot of U.S. paper money as well as foreign as well. And as I'm sure you all know, this was back when our money was backed by something and not and could be redeemed actually for silver, not now what we all know, fiat currency, backed by nothing, out there floating. And as I'm sure all of you know, it's definitely, I'm preaching to the choir here, that every time in history, in the history of man, when there has been a fiat currency, it always collapses at some point in time. So that is an interesting note there, but we do U.S. paper and foreign paper as well. I have a little picture of some attractive foreign paper. We do see quite a bit of foreign paper, and some of it is obsolete and not very expensive. My uncle even had the idea of putting some up in a frame. We have several of them up in a shop that are obsolete, but they're a neat conversation piece, and they'd look good in somebody's office perhaps. And also, interesting note that our $100 bills with the new security precautions are looking more and more like foreign paper all the time. We're looking more and more like European money or third world money, whatever you want to say. Now, on to popular gold bullion coins that we have. A lot of folks in recent years have been looking for, and we have people that really enjoy these popular gold bullion coins. First, the Canadian Maple Leaf, again, showing up this time in gold. It's a 24K coin. So it weighs exactly 20 pennyweights, or 31.1 grams. Now, the South African Krugerrand and the American Gold Eagle are also 1 troy ounce coins, but they're actually 22K, so they weigh slightly more than 1 troy ounce, but they're 1 troy ounce AGW, or actual gold weight. So these are coins that we see a lot of, and in fact, the Canadian Maple, being at that 24K, soft, malleable as gold is in its natural form, and we know this firsthand. If you were to fumble it and hit it on a corner of a table, for example, you might dent it up, and we've seen that happen before. But now these are coins that are in demand. They're also available not only in the 1 ounce that's shown here, but the half, quarter, and 10th ounce, and the smaller denominations have become really popular with collectors and investors, and there's a slight bit larger of a premium on the small denominations right now. The next slide deals with copper rounds. We have these in our shop as well. These are fun, inexpensive. They're $2 a piece, $1.75 if you get a roll of 20. They're from a private mint, the Golden State Mint out of California. Now, these have some beautiful designs. As you can see, the Accused Indian, one, which is a replica of the old $2.50 or $5 gold piece from around the turn of the last century. The Walking Liberty, St. Gaudens. So they're very attractive. They're very they're inexpensive. And as my uncle says, maybe with inflation, we will possibly see copper at a price that silver is today. So that's a possibility. And another fun little note, a friend of ours who's a great friend that's from Ohio, comes down on a working vacation 1 month out of the year. He had, right here on Okaloosa Island, a treasure hunt with his grandkids and took out a bunch of these copper rounds. And it's definitely, if the kids or grandkids were to misplace 1 or 2 copper rounds at $2 a piece, it wouldn't be as much of a crisis if they were to lose a gold coin at $13 or $14 or $1,500, that's for sure. Another thing I wanted to touch on briefly are ancient coins, and I find these fascinating. There's something I learn about more about every day. There's so much to these, and we do have these in the shop. It's just interesting to think 2,000 plus years old, from biblical times, Roman coins and whatnot, to think who could have held these coins in their hand and that they survived to this day and they made it somehow to Fort Walton Beach, Florida, is pretty interesting to me. If they could tell a tale, they'd have a heck of a story, I'm sure. And this is another interesting note. This was a legal tender note from the nation of Zimbabwe, as a matter of fact. My cousin Josh has the note here to pass around a little bit for everybody to see. Now, this was legal tender note from Zimbabwe. The dictator of Zimbabwe, Mr. Robert Mugabe, he is a terrible man, and he's been in power there since 1980. And he destroyed their currency to the point similar to like Weimar Republic in Germany. He needed a bunch of those just for basics like food or bread or things like that. And just imagine $100 trillion. And some of us believe with our the way this things are going, and this current administration spending on entitlement programs and the Fed printing money day and night, this could one day occur in the U.S., is what a lot of us think. And, you know, with this government, as you all know, we've been spending like drunken sailors, but I think that's probably an insult to drunken sailors. I don't think they spent quite as bad as our government spends. So this is one reason a lot of our clients feel that investing in gold and silver is a good hedge against inflation, even with the recent ups and downs. And the good thing about our business being a small family business, you can come in anytime, and myself or my cousin Josh or Norm or one of our other brokers will be glad to sit down with you, and we'll go over any questions that you have to. You can hold the coins in your hand. You can even have a soda or water with us while you do it, and so I think that makes it a lot of fun. And another new division that we have, we're now fundraising, and it's benefiting the Special Ops Warrior Foundation, the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. In fact, they're a wonderful outfit. Colonel Ben Josie turned us on to what they do. They do wonderful work. We're proud to be affiliated with them. What they do for the families of the fallen special operators, they actually seek out the family members and assist them with financial assistance, and then the dependents with technical education or university education as well. And they give 96% of all the money that they receive to the families. So we're really proud to be helping out with that one. And these are some fun products that we actually have for our fundraising division, and they're in our shop, and we sell them every day. We have some NCAA logo, your favorite college team, collectible tin peanuts and salted butter toffee and chocolate as well, and they're delicious. Pecan pie in a jar, fire and ice pickles, and even all-natural olive oil-based soaps, which we cut in our shop with a guillotine device. They're great, and as a matter of fact, we've brought some samples for everybody here today, some complimentary samples of the soap. Let us know, come in and pop your head in and say hi, let us know what you think about the soap. So we're really glad to be doing that too. And in conclusion, I really thank you all for the opportunity and time to speak with you all tonight. We're not a big investment firm. We're not Goldman Sachs here. We're a small family business in America during these challenging times. We pray for better leadership. We truly do. Than this pathetic administration. I think all of us are sick of these people and what they're doing. I truly am. But we're not going to let it get us down. We really enjoy what we do. We have fun every day. We truly do. We're blessed to live in this beautiful area with a lot of wonderful people, military, veterans, retirees, and everyday hardworking folks that are out there. So we feel very blessed. And most importantly, we're thankful to live in the greatest nation in the history of the earth. So I want to thank you all for your time. I certainly appreciate it. And thank you. Thank you very much. We hope to see you at our shop anytime. The only day we're not open is Sunday. We're open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and 10 to 2 on Saturday. So I thank you all, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them the best I can. Yes, ma'am.
Could you talk a little bit about the tax aspects of 1099s and so forth, numismatic versus bullion?
Yes, ma'am.
And a little bit of information on that.
Yes, ma'am. Now, with U.S. coins, my understanding is there's no tax on those. With foreign coins, and when you get to a certain dollar amount, the taxes do kick in. However, we work that in. What we try to do is afford our clients the best possible price with anything that we do. So, I'm not a tax attorney, so that's not necessarily my strong point, but I can get that information for you totally. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you, if a person buys or sells to you, do you
Yes.
take Social Security numbers or anything like that?
That's a very good question. Actually, no, we don't. We're required by law when someone sells us jewelry, which we buy for melt, to scrap, we're required by Florida statutes to type in to Leads Online, which is a software program that law enforcement use, to type in every item. We do have to type in the address and whatnot of the individual and a phone number. Now that's for a jewelry purchase, and what the law enforcement states is that's, we're not a pawn shop. We don't do pawn loans. We're a jeweler. We're what's considered a secondhand dealer in the state of Florida. And so we're required to hold the jewelry items that we purchase for 15 days, and then we can melt the items after that. However, for coins or bullion, there is no paperwork. There's no, folks oftentimes like our discretion because the Florida statutes, there's no required paperwork on bullion transactions right now. So that can be done with discretion, and I think we have private offices to meet in, and we try to honor our clients' requests at all times, and I think that's why some folks feel comfortable with us, because we try to make you feel comfortable. We have, as I said, private offices to meet in, and so we do want to honor privacy of our clients. That's a big thing with us. We're big on our privacy. We want privacy for all our customers and clients if we can. Yes, sir.
Okay. Fast forward 20 years, your $100 trillion bill is reality, and I and somebody else are on the street exchanging for a loaf of bread or who knows what. How do I, if I'm the buyer, how can I convince them of the authenticity of what I'm selling them, that it actually is gold or silver, what have you? And if the shoe's on the other foot, how to, in that scenario, how do two people doing an exchange know it's on the up and up?
That's a very good question also, and one that we get quite a bit. And all these hypothetical scenarios are all hard to speak to all the time. However, what I can say is that may be some attraction to folks why they like, let's say, U.S. silver, Mercury dimes, American silver eagles, because they're accepted. Also, if depending upon how the world is at this time and how crazy things are, if you can get to a scale and that American silver eagle weighs 20 pennyweights, or the Mercury dime weighs exactly what it's supposed to and just has that right ting for silver. Now, one thing we do have to be careful for, there are a lot of fakes out there now. We have to be very careful when we're buying and selling coins and bullion, because overseas, these other powers out there, the Chinese, are doing a lot of faking of our old Morgan dollars and whatnot. So we have to be very careful. But that's a good question, and that's why I think a lot of folks do like investing in U.S. or, let's say, Canadian gold and silver coins, as opposed to maybe art rounds from a private mint. But that's kind of a personal preference thing. Like I said, you may save some money up front with buying some art rounds or bars or things like that, but you have to be careful, and that is also an attraction possibly to coins and bullion, as opposed to maybe in the future thinking of trading and bartering in jewelry, because every day we see items that people have bought at, for example, the jewelry store in Sheboygan, and they know it's good to go. It's stamped 14K, but we put it up to a magnet. It's just not good to go, or we give it the test with the acid test kit and it's not. So rather than thinking that this jewelry that you have, you may be able to one day down the road barter with that, maybe you will. But coins and bullion can be a good way to go. But it's interesting to think those type of scenarios. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Yes, sir.
Two-part question. When you make purchases, do you purchase with cash or check?
When we purchase from you, let's say if you're selling to us, we most oftentimes pay cash. If someone would request a check, we can write a check as well for you. So that's up to you. It's either cash or check. Yes, sir.
Second part, given a spot value on silver of $20 an ounce and a common generic 1 ounce of silver, what would be your approximate purchase price or your approximate sale price?
Well, as far as that goes, now that can vary at times from what we've paid for it, to be frank and honest with you, sir, but a general good basis is we would sell it 10% over spot. We would buy it 10% under spot. However, that can, now if we're American Silver Eagles are in high demand, so we might pay you closer to spot for those. So it all depends upon the supply and demand at that time, but that's kind of a general basis for it. But there are items that we would have a need for a call. We have clients, as a matter of fact, right now that are looking for particular coins. So if you have coins that you may want to sell, we may be able to sell you, to pay you more for those. We may be able to pay you close to spot or spot. So we'd love to meet with you and talk and sit down and see anytime. But we'll do our best to beat anybody's price, and we want to be honest and fair, and be happy to answer any questions you have. But we'll do our best to pay as close to spot as we can, and then to keep it as low of a premium as possible. Yes, sir.
One of the things I was wondering if you might talk about that I was surprised to learn that I think it was in 1934, FDR outlawed private ownership of gold and silver, and I was wondering if you might speak about that.
Yes, sir. Dr. White, that's true. We actually have a copy of that order framed in our shop, and that's definitely very true, and some folks are thinking, what if this current administration that has a lot of similarities to FDR as far as the policies and his being super progressive like he is, what if this were to occur again? My own personal thoughts are, if this type of thing were to occur again, it would be a real problem time for the whole country. There'd be a lot of people, probably everybody in here would not accept that. Exactly. True, and it was a terrible time. However, what I mean is all these patriotic folks like yourself and all of us, we would certainly not accept that kind of a decree from the powers that be, from Obama and his people. That's what. But I agree, some folks do worry about that and wonder about that, and that's why they say they want to invest in one form of the bullion or another. That's a personal preference type of thing, and I've read a lot about that and heard a lot about it. I don't really think, I wouldn't put anything past this administration or these people or what they do. However, I do think when that happens, it's really serious situation. Katie, bar the door, seriously, it'd be a mess. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I've done a little bit of reading on what some of the big investment houses say, and I don't know if I've got this straight, but like when FDR confiscated all the gold coins.
Yes, ma'am.
He didn't confiscate gold jewelry.
Right.
That numismatic material was not confiscatable, but bullion material was. Is that correct?
That's fairly accurate from my understanding of it. Yes, ma'am. That is, and now that's getting into because somebody it would take a whole lot of folks with a lot of knowledge to go house by house and see, look, we're going to take, because you could say, hey, this American Silver Eagle, it's actually numismatic because it's uncirculated. That's true, and they did that at the time. But I think that now, and even there were a lot of folks that fired back at that time, but I think even now people would be less apt to get in line. I think there are more folks like everybody here tonight that would not accept that, and then we'd be talking about a kind of a revolution, Civil War type scenario if that were to happen again. That's just my 2 cents. But as I said, I'm just a small family businessman, but that's an interesting concept, and a lot of folks do talk about that. That's a topic of conversation with the folks at our shop quite a bit, so that's an interesting one. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
On those rounds, how would you identify those if you had them in your pocket? You know, with other coins, you got your, the mint mark.
Yes, sir.
What's the identifier on it?
On those, on most art rounds or art bars that you see, they're almost exclusively always stamped 999 fine silver, 1 troy ounce. So they would be, and there's a distinctive ting with silver that you don't, and there are some imposters that do come in, and some folks don't know. Sometimes they'll have some art rounds and then some that are just silver plated. But the 999 1 ounce will weigh exactly 1 troy ounce, 31.1 grams or 20 pennyweights. And so there is some certain identifiers that you'd be able to see, similar to the weight of the 1964 and prior quarters, U.S. quarters, halves, and dimes is different than the current. After 64, of course, U.S. quarters and dimes were copper nickel. The halves remained 40% silver, as some of y'all, I'm sure, know. From 65 through 70, the 40% Kennedy halves still had some silver. They were 40%. Yes, sir.
One more. If our dollar went to zero, what coin would you want to have you could use for exchange purposes and bartering?
That's a very good question. I've thought about that a lot for my own, just in the last few years since I've been associated with the business. What I personally, my own thoughts are that 90% silver U.S., I'd like to have, I would like to have some 90% U.S., let's say Mercury dimes or 64 and prior quarters, because we'd be making conceivably small purchases with those, or bartering and trading for things like gasoline or other things like that. That's what a lot of people think. Now, that is the disadvantage of the large bar that I mentioned, the 100-ounce bar, for example. That would be awful hard to shave some off and say, here's some silver shavings. So you might have been able to purchase it at a lower premium, but yet if push does come to shove, that's going to be harder. And then when it all does collapse, you're to say, hey, they've got this big chunk of silver. What, you know, it's nice, but unless I'm purchasing land or something like that, it could be hard to trade in. That's a very good point, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Charlie, when is the best time to buy? I mean, you watch the market when certain things are happening. You know, I see the silver and gold prices going down or going up.
Mm-hmm.
In your experience, what do you see that we should be looking for?
Well, I do. This is just my own two cents there again, that I think that there's quite a bit of suppression in the gold and silver market. The physical demand we see, in particular for silver, and the historical gold to silver ratio, it's usually about 15 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. It's currently in the 60s or close to 70 for ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. So my own personal thoughts are that silver is suppressed. By who it's suppressed, that's everybody has their opinion. You know, you think George Soros, he's other type of evil folks out there that would do that. But now I personally feel for my own self that that it is a good time to buy in particular silver and gold. However, that's a personal preference thing. Sometimes folks will come in, for example, recently, as we've seen in the charts, gold and silver down a bit from where they were 2.5 years ago. So someone might sit down at one of the desks with us and have a couple South African Krugerrands, for example, and I'll say, well, I'm sorry that it's not quite as high as it was 2.5 years ago. And they'll say, well, that's okay because I bought it at $175 and now I'm selling it at $1,300. That's still pretty good. But it's when you see a bump up in the market like we did a couple years ago. But I wish I knew exactly when it was the best time to buy, because I would buy a lot more myself. As I said, it's really difficult when you see there's so many factors throughout the world, and with this global stuff we have going on now as well. I do think it's a good hedge, as many do, against inflation. I'm not the type of person to go out there and say, buy, buy, buy. We want you to, just as when you're selling your jewelry to us, when you're buying from us, we're no pressure. We're going to tell you what we know, and we'd love to see you. And even if you don't buy some coins from us, we hope you'll come and get some jewelry repaired, or a watch battery, or maybe you'll need something engraved for your group. And so we would just love to see you anytime. But it's an interesting ride, the gold and silver market. It really is. Yes, sir.
I was just going to ask, is there a reason that gold and silver both have taken a decline?
That's a very good question as well, sir. I do think some folks say that the economy is improving. Some say that the dollar's rebounding. Some of us believe that is artificial. Some of us believe that it may be trying to lull us to sleep, and that's however, that's what the party line is, so to speak, from the establishment is, well, the dollar may be gaining in value again. Things are improving. Now, I don't necessarily believe that, and that's up to everybody to make their own, to come to their own conclusion. So that's why I think it is a good time to buy. And some people have said, and me myself, I bought some silver when it was in the 40s a couple years ago, and someone would say, well, you're really down from that, but you're really not down until you sell it. So even if you if I've continued to buy little pieces here and there, and then if it does peak up several years from now, where in triple digits perhaps, a lot of people have a lot of speculation where it could be, then buying it at 20, 30, or 40 will seem like a pretty good deal. But that is a very good question, and I think there's a lot more to it than meets the eye as far as these prices going up and down. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Charlie, to be a devil's advocate, you said normally, historically, the ratio for gold to silver is about 15 to 1, and now it's about 60 to 1. Your analysis is you think maybe silver's suppressed. Could the reverse be true? Is gold inflated?
Well, that's the other side of the coin. That is a possibility as well. And some people may think that. And however, you're right, my thoughts are that silver is undervalued, but you could certainly look at it that way as well. And some people do say that. It's very interesting to see. And as I said, that kitco.com, where we get our spot prices for precious metals, a great aggregator of information, and it has wonderful links to why they think gold is going up or down. But oftentimes, or they'll take a survey of so-called experts in the field, 20 dealers, and they're wrong just as often, probably more than they're right. So these guys up here that are supposed huge experts that have far surpassed knowledge than I do in this field, that have been in it all their lives, and you read, and then I have to also, when I read these articles, look and see who are they working for too, when they come to their conclusions. So that's a very good question, and it's going to be interesting for time to tell to see what happens in these upcoming years. And I think it all plays into what's going on with the economy and how we if we do keep these dollar bills printing with the Federal Reserve and keep spending like we have. So it's going to be an interesting couple years, I think. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
What can you tell us about other world currencies, since our dollar is in such a sad position?
Right.
What can you tell us about other currencies that might be more stable, more reliable?
Well, I don't really. That's not really my field of expertise. In all honesty, ma'am, I still think the dollar, even though it is that to other currencies, the euro's taken a hit as well. We really, being a small family business, we deal with what we see, the tangible, physical, and that's a good thing. Just why some people will sometimes ask, well, what about stocks in the silver or gold mines, and what about all these other things? And I'm sure there's a lot to that, and it's probably a very good thing to do. But personally, I like the physical, tangible type metals that I can hold in my hand in these type of emergency scenarios to say, hey, if these things do occur, then I have this. It's wonderful, and I know I'm not trying to denigrate stocks or foreign currencies or anything at all like that, but we're talking real, just like grassroots activism in politics. We're talking about grassroots family business as far as having these metals in your hand, the actual physical metals. So that's a good question. Someone else may have more knowledge about that than I do, honestly. Thank you.
Appreciate